The Council's judgment. The galaxy was silent. Billions of eyes from 1,000 worlds watched the glowing hall of the Great Council. It was the largest chamber ever built, a place where the leaders of every known species gathered to decide the fate of civilizations. Today, one name filled the air. One world stood trial. Earth. At the center of the chamber, a giant hologram of the blue and green planet spun slowly. For centuries, humans had risen from their small world, reaching space, trading, fighting, exploring. Some aliens admired them. Others feared them. But most of all, many hated them. Humans were too bold, too proud, too unpredictable. A tall alien, with scales that shimmered like silver, stood to speak. He was the speaker of the council. His voice echoed across the hall. Humanity, he said, has broken the balance. They do not obey the laws of the galaxy. They wage war without our blessing. They build weapons without our permission. They claim the stars as if they belong to them alone. The chamber buzzed with agreement. Another alien rose, her skin glowing, like fire. Yes, they refuse to share their technology. They fight among themselves, yet they spread to the stars. They cannot be trusted. They will bring destruction to us all. The accusations fell like thunder. Every word carried anger, fear, and envy. One by one, the voices joined. The insect-like Karen, the winged Sithari, the cold-blooded Voth. Each demanded punishment, each demanded control. And then, after hours of shouting, the speaker raised his hand. Silence fell. The decision is made, he declared. His words were slow, heavy, final. Earth is to be exiled. Humanity is no longer welcome in the council. Their ships will not enter our worlds. Their voices will not be heard in our chambers. They are cast out. The galaxy gasped. Some cheered. Whole species clapped their claws, wings, or tendrils. They believed humanity would finally be broken. Others looked uneasy, whispering to each other, for they knew something the council often forgot. Humans never surrendered easily. The decision was sent at once. Across the void of space, the message traveled faster than light, reaching the solar system within hours. On Earth, satellites caught the signal. On Mars, colonies heard the words. On the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, outposts listened in silence. Exile. The council expected anger. They expected desperate cries. They expected humans to beg for forgiveness. But none came. For days, the galaxy waited. No reply. No ships leaving Earth. No speeches from human leaders. Nothing. The silence was louder than war drums. On alien news networks, commentators mocked them. The humans are broken, they said. They cannot fight the whole galaxy. They are too weak here, others warned. Be careful. The humans are not like us. They do not bow. They do not quit. Their silence may not be weakness. It may be planning. Whispers began to spread. Traders passing near the solar system reported strange activity. Lights flickering on the dark side of the moon. Energy spikes near Jupiter. Unusual signals deep in the asteroid belt. The council dismissed these reports. Lies, they said. Rumors from frightened merchants. But still, fear spread. One Karen soldier asked her commander, "What if humanity is not broken? What if they are preparing for something else?" Her commander laughed. "They are a single world against the galaxy. What can they do?" Yet, even as he spoke, he remembered old stories. Stories of human wars, of how they fought against impossible odds and still survived. In the chamber of the council, pride blinded the leaders. They saw Earth's silence as surrender. They believed humanity had been defeated without a single shot fired. But those who knew humans better were not so sure. One old Sithari scholar whispered to his apprentice, "Never trust the silence of humans. For when they are quiet, it is not because they are weak. It is because they are watching, waiting, preparing." The apprentice shivered, his wings trembling. Preparing for what? The old scholar did not answer. He only looked at the hologram of Earth, spinning alone in the center of the chamber, and for the first time the galaxy wondered if exile was not a punishment, but a mistake. The story was only beginning. Silence across the stars. The days after Earth's exile were strange. The galaxy waited for fire, for fury, for desperate cries from humanity. But what came instead was nothing. No messages, no protests, no ships flying to the Council's worlds, no speeches from Earth's leaders. It was as if humanity had vanished behind a wall of silence. At first the galaxy laughed. "They are broken," said the insectoid Karen, clicking their mandibles in joy. "Their pride is crushed. Their silence is proof." The winged Sithari mocked them in songs, their voices sharp and cruel. The humans barked once, but now they are quiet dogs, tails between their legs. Even the Council itself grew proud. They believed their judgment had worked. No weapons had been fired, no wars had begun. Humanity, it seemed, had simply accepted defeat. But deep inside, a strange unease grew, because silence, true silence, is never empty. The watchers at the edge near the solar system, Council scout ships, waited. They circled like vultures around, a dying beast expecting to see humans scatter, beg, or resist. Instead, they saw nothing unusual. Earth still spun. Mars still gleamed red under the sun. The colonies in the asteroid belt still mined rocks for metal. Everything looked normal. Too normal. But then came the first whisper. A trader passing near Jupiter reported strange signals. Not messages, not words, just pulses of energy, strong enough to shake his ship's sensors. Another claimed to see lights on the dark side of B. The moon, brighter than city lights, glowing like fireflies in the night. The Council dismissed it all. Superstition, lies from nervous merchants. Yet one by one, more ships reported the same. The silence of Earth was no longer comforting. It was terrifying. The missing ship on the 10th day of exile, the Council grew impatient. They ordered a scout ship, the Viralis, to enter the solar system and investigate. The Viralis reported normal activity as it passed Neptune, normal as it crossed Uranus, still normal near Saturn. But then, near Jupiter, its signals stopped. The Council waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, a day. No reply. Finally, after 3 days, the Viralis reappeared, drifting without power. Its engines were burned, its controls melted. The crew was gone. Not dead. Gone. The ship was empty, as if every living being had been erased. When alien engineers examined the wreck, they found only one thing unusual: a symbol burned into the metal near the control room. A simple image, the outline of Earth's continents. It was not a message of surrender. It was a warning. The whispers spread. Panic began to crawl through the galaxy. Traders refused to go near the solar system. Military fleets were ordered closer, their guns pointed at Earth's borders. But still, humanity said nothing. On alien news networks, debates raged. They are weak. That ship was destroyed by an accident. No, others argued. It was humans. It had to be. One voice cut through the noise, an old scholar from the frozen world of Trakar. "You do not understand humans," he warned. "They do not shout before war. They prepare in silence. They let their enemies grow proud, then strike when it hurts most." But his words were drowned out by laughter. The Council chose not to believe. The waiting game still, the unease grew. Soldiers posted near Earth spoke in whispers. They said they saw shapes moving in the asteroid fields, too fast, too silent to be normal mining ships. They said they felt watched, as if invisible eyes followed them in the dark. The commanders ordered them to stop spreading fear. Humans are defeated, their silence is nothing. But every night when the soldiers looked at the stars, they wondered, if Earth was broken, why did it feel like the galaxy was the one trapped in a cage? The Council's fear weeks passed. The silence remained. The Council gathered again. Their leaders argued, "They are hiding. We must send fleets and crush them before they rise again." "Waste of resources," others said. "They are nothing now. Let them rot in exile." The debate went on, but underneath their words was fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the silence. Because silence, when it belongs to humanity, is never safe. A final omen, then came the most chilling event. A small probe launched by the Council passed close to Earth's orbit. For a moment, its cameras caught a brief image before the feed went dark. The picture showed the surface of the moon. Across the gray dust, massive black shapes stretched, towers, domes, and strange machines half buried in shadow. But most terrifying of all was a single word, carved into the surface so large it could be seen from orbit. "We heard you." And then the signal was cut. The probe never returned. The Council sat in silence, just as Earth did. For the first time, they began to wonder. Had they exiled humanity, or had humanity exiled them? Whispers of human secrets. The Virales was supposed to be proof of human weakness. Instead, it became the beginning of fear. When the empty ship drifted back into Council space, every species demanded answers. How could a crew vanish without a trace? No blood, no bodies, no struggle, just silence, and a single mark of Earth burned into the walls. The Council tried to calm the galaxy. It was an accident, they said. The humans did not do this, but no one believed them. Uneasy rumors merchants who once traded with Earth whispered of strange things. A Zaran captain swore he saw hidden satellites around Jupiter, black shapes that appeared on scanners for only seconds before vanishing. Cythery Courier claimed she heard a ghostly transmission while passing Saturn's rings, a single human voice repeating the same words. "We heard you. We heard you. We heard you." The Council dismissed these as lies, but the whispers spread like wildfire. The more the Council denied, the more people believed. The silent engineers across the galaxy, historians remembered something important. Humanity had always been builders. When others saw empty deserts, humans saw cities. When others saw oceans, humans built ships to cross them. When others saw the cold vacuum of space, humans made it their home. So what would happen if such builders were forced into exile? What would they create, hidden away, free from Council? Eyes, a tracker scholar, put it simply. Silence is not surrender. Silence is the workshop of man. A new fear the Council finally decided to send investigators. A team of mixed species armed with scanners, weapons, and pride was ordered into the solar system. For weeks they searched. Earth looked normal. Cities shone with lights. Farms grew. Food ships moved in orbit. Nothing unusual. But then they reached the asteroid belt. Half-mined rocks floated in silence, but the investigators noticed something strange. The metal had not been removed, it had been reshaped. Some asteroids had hollow centers lined with strange alloys. Others had tunnels too smooth, too perfect to be natural. "Mining?" one officer asked. "No," whispered another. "Not mining. Construction." Before they could investigate further, their ship's scanners shut down. The controls froze. Every screen turned black. Then, for only 3 seconds, words appeared on the largest screen. "We are listening." And then the ship's power returned, as if nothing had happened. Terrified, the team fled. Secrets in the dark. The investigators told the Council everything. But their report was sealed, hidden from the public. The Council declared the mission inconclusive. They wanted to show strength, not weakness. Yet deep inside, every Council leader knew the truth. Humanity was building something far beyond normal technology. But what? Weapons, ships, machines, no one knew, and that was the greatest fear. What you cannot see, you cannot control. The broken pride. Some species laughed again, trying to hide their unease. "They are only one world," said the Karen generals. "Even if they build ships, what can they do against the galaxy?" But the laughter sounded forced. Others remembered human history, how they had faced empires larger than themselves, armies stronger than theirs. And still, somehow, humanity survived. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were relentless. As one alien historian said, humans are not the galaxy's greatest warriors. They are its greatest survivors. The message on the hull then came another sign. A council. Patrol ship found a derelict freighter floating near Pluto. Its crew was gone, just like the Vairalis. But this time there was no symbol. Instead, on the side of the hull, carved deep into the metal, were words in simple human English. "We heard you." The same phrase again and again. The council could no longer deny it. Humanity was not silent out of weakness. Their silence was a choice, a weapon, a dangerous decision. Some council leaders demanded war. "Strike now," they cried. "Burn Earth before they rise." Others warned against it. "If we attack without proof, the galaxy will turn against us. And what if the humans are ready? What if this is exactly what they want?" The debate grew heated. Fleets were moved, borders were reinforced, but no one dared to fire the first shot. The galaxy had turned into a waiting game, waiting for humans to speak, to move, to reveal what their silence meant. But humanity gave no answer. The final whisper late one night, deep in the archives of the council, a technician checking old signals discovered something chilling. Hidden inside the static of the Vairalis wreck, a faint human recording had been buried. The voice was calm, steady, without fear. "You cast us out. You think exile is the end? But exile is only freedom, and in freedom we build." The technician reported it at once, but by morning, the recording was gone, erased from the archives. No one admitted deleting it, and so the whispers grew louder. Was humanity building fleets or something greater? Was their silence a wall or a weapon? The galaxy did not know, but everyone agreed on one thing. The silence of Earth was no longer silence. It was a storm, waiting to break. The fear begins. For the first time in centuries, the Council's great hall was not filled with pride, but with unease. The empty ships, the carved messages, the strange signals, these were no longer accidents. They were signs of humanity's silence. The galaxy began to whisper. Not in public, not in speeches, but in private rooms, in hidden channels, in dark corners of marketplaces. And every whisper carried the same question. What are the humans doing? Shadows at the Borders Council. Fleets moved closer to the solar system. Great warships, armed with plasma cannons and shield generators, circled the edge like wolves. Their commanders sent daily reports. No human fleets detected, no unusual activity. The system looks quiet, but the soldiers told a different story. Karen Pilot swore he saw a shadow near Saturn, something massive drifting silently in the rings. When he looked again, it was gone. A Sithari scout reported hearing strange echoes on the comms, like a human voice breathing into his ear, though no one else heard it. A Voth Marine claimed that when his ship passed near Mars, his suit sensors picked up a heartbeat, loud, steady, not human, not alien, but something in between. Each report was dismissed as fear, but the soldiers knew what they felt. Something was watching them. Silence as a weapon in the council, debates turned bitter. Some leaders shouted that the humans were harmless, just hiding in shame. Others insisted the silence was a trap. One scholar stood before the chamber and spoke, words that chilled the hall. Humans do not shout when they prepare for war. They wait, they build, and when they strike, it is too late. His words were met with silence, because deep down, everyone feared he was right. Vanishing spies, the Council decided to send spies into the solar system. Disguised ships, cloaked drones, agents hidden among the asteroid miners. Not one returned. The drones stopped transmitting. The ships vanished. The agents were never heard from again. The only thing ever found was a single pod drifting near Neptune. Inside was no body, no blood, only a piece of metal carved with the same 3 words. We heard you, the Council's. Pride began to crack. The growing fear across the galaxy, people grew restless. Merchants no longer wanted to pass near Earth. Colonists begged for more protection. Soldiers whispered of strange dreams when stationed near the solar border. Dreams of Earth burning. Dreams of shadows moving through space. Dreams of human eyes watching them. Some species began to regret the exile. "We should not have cast them out," said a Sithari elder. "We should have brought them closer, controlled them." "It is too late," replied another. "We gave them freedom, and in freedom, humans are dangerous." The Saturn shadow. Then one night everything changed. A patrol ship sent out a routine report from Saturn's orbit. Normal readings, nothing unusual. 5 minutes later, its scanners picked up a shape, a shadow the size of a battleship moving through the rings. The patrol captain ordered his crew to scan again, but the shadow gave off no heat, no energy, no signal. It was invisible to every sensor, yet clearly visible to the naked eye. As the crew stared in silence, the shadow tilted. For just a moment they saw lights, small, sharp, human-made lights glowing like eyes. Then the shadow disappeared. The patrol ship sent one final message before its comms went dark. "They are here." The ship was never seen again. Panic in the ER. Council. When news of the Saturn shadow reached the council, panic erupted. "They have built warships," shouted one general. "We must strike first." "Madness," another replied. "If we attack and fail, the humans will destroy us all." The council chamber descended into chaos. Leaders screamed, wings flared, claws slammed against tables. But no one could decide. Attack or wait. Crush or fear. All the while, humanity remained silent, the scholars warning among the noise. The old Sithari scholar who once warned about human silence spoke again. His voice was soft, but the chamber grew quiet to hear him. "You believe silence is weakness, but silence is patience. The humans do not answer because they do not need to. You cast them out, and now they are free. Free to build, free to wait, free to prepare for the day when the council fears them more than it fears war." His words fell heavy across the chamber. No one laughed this time. The council watches. From that day, the council did not speak of humans as outcasts. They spoke of them as a threat. Fleets were doubled. Borders tightened. Whole worlds prepared for an enemy that had not yet spoken a word. But still, the whispers would not stop. What were the humans building? What were the shadows near Saturn? Why did the spies vanish without a trace? And most of all, when would the silence finally break? The fear had begun, and it would not end. Because silence can be louder than war, and humanity's silence was deafening. Humanity's shadow. The shadow seen near Saturn was only the beginning. At first, the council tried to keep it secret. They told the galaxy it was space debris, a trick of scanners. But rumors spread faster than light. Soldiers told their families, traders whispered in stations, and soon everyone knew something was moving in Saturn's rings, something too big to be natural. The galaxy began to fear the silence even more. The shape in the rings weeks later, a merchant convoy reported the shadow again. This time it did not vanish. Through the icy rings of Saturn, a massive shape drifted slowly. It was not a council design. Its surface was jagged, black, and strange, like a warship but built from stone and metal together. Its size was greater than any battleship, longer than cities, shaped like a spear. It gave off no signals, no energy, no engine trails, and yet it moved. One trader managed to send a grainy image before his systems went dead. The picture spread across the galaxy. Human creation, hidden in the dark, watching. The council in denial. The council panicked. Some leaders demanded immediate war. Others begged for caution. But the speaker of the council stood firm. "This is a bluff," he said. "The humans are weak. They build shells to frighten us. Nothing more." But no one truly believed him. The shadow haunted their dreams. Fear in the ranks, in the fleet stationed near the solar border. Soldiers grew restless. A Sithari pilot wrote in her diary, "It is like staring into an ocean at night. You know something is moving beneath, but you cannot see it. That shadow is alive. A Karen commander confessed to his officers that he no longer trusted the council's words. If this is only a bluff, then why do my men wake screaming every night? Even the machines of the Voth soldiers, normally fearless, began to malfunction near the solar system. Their sensors froze, their targeting failed. It was as if something unseen was jamming them. The silence became heavier than war. Humanity speaks. Once. And then, for the first time since exile, a signal came. It was not broadcast to the galaxy, only to the fleet watching Saturn. A single human, voice calm and steady, echoed through every ship. Exile accepted. That was all. 2 words. No threats, no demands, no anger. Just acceptance. The message ended, but those 2 words spread across the galaxy like fire. The council called it arrogance. Others called it prophecy, but to most it sounded like a warning. If humans accepted exile, then maybe they did not need the galaxy at all. The structure revealed more ships began to spy on Saturn, desperate for answers. And slowly, the truth became clear. The Shadow was not just a warship. It was a station. Half built into Saturn's rings, it stretched for miles, part city, part shipyard, part weapon. It was designed in a way no alien could understand. Its black metal absorbing light, its towers shaped like jagged teeth. It looked alive, as if it was breathing in the dark. And the most terrifying part, there were more. Hidden deeper in the rings, scanners picked up faint outlines of other structures, smaller but growing. Humanity was not building one shadow. They were building many. The galaxy shaken, the news reached every corner of the galaxy. On distant colonies, children whispered about the ghosts of Earth. On rich worlds, leaders secretly ordered their ships upgraded. Fear became the new language of the stars. One scholar said it plainly. We did not exile them. We freed them. The council tried to calm the panic, but even their own members were divided. Some still wanted war, but others feared it was already too late. How do you fight shadows that never speak? How do you defeat silence? Humanity's patience. Meanwhile, humanity gave no more messages. No speeches, no threats. Only silence. They kept building in the dark. Every report from Spies showed the same. More towers, more stations, more shadows rising in Saturn's rings. And though the galaxy feared war, the humans never fired a single shot. They did not move beyond their system. They did not attack. They only prepared. This patience was worse than war, because everyone knew what patience meant. It meant waiting for the right moment. A final sight. One final event shook the galaxy to its core. A council battleship, braver than the rest, entered Saturn's orbit to scan the massive structure. For hours, it reported back. Strange alloys, impossible power readings, construction far beyond human capacity. Then, as the ship moved closer, its scanners picked up something hidden inside the station. Not weapons, not ships. A vast chamber, filled with rows upon rows of machines, each glowing with energy. The captain tried to describe it, but his voice broke with fear. It's not a shipyard. It's not a city. It's something else. Something we don't understand. The transmission ended. The battleship was never seen again. The shadow remains from that day. The galaxy called it by a new name. Not the station. Not the ship. The council panics. The words exile accepted echoed across the galaxy like thunder. At first, the council tried to laugh. They called it arrogance, a desperate trick by a fading species. But their laughter was thin, forced. Because behind the 2 words lay something darker, confidence. Humans were not pleading. Humans were not resisting. Humans were simply saying, we do not need you. And that truth frightened the galaxy more than war ever could. Broken unity. The council hall, once a place of power, now looked like a nest of frightened animals. Leaders shouted, wings flared, claws scraped against tables. They are preparing for war, cried a Karen general. Strike before they strike us. No, shouted a Sathari elder, feathers trembling. "Do not provoke them. If we attack, they will unite and crush us." "Crush us," hissed a Voth commander. "They are only one world." But even as he said it, his voice shook. Because everyone remembered the images of humanity's shadow, drifting in Saturn's rings. One world was not supposed to build something like that. One world was not supposed to defy the galaxy in silence. The Council's unity cracked. Some demanded invasion, others begged for peace. No one could agree. The panic spreads beyond the Council chambers. Panic grew like wildfire. Merchants refused to fly near Earth. Colonies begged for protection. Even neutral worlds, worlds far from human space, began building weapons, afraid of what the silence meant. On mining stations, rumors spread. The humans have found a new energy source. They are building fleets larger than the Council's. They are making machines the galaxy has never seen. No proof, only whispers. But whispers were enough. Fear does not need facts. Fear only needs silence. The Council's mistake. Desperate for answers, the Council sent a fleet of 20 warships to the solar border. The fleet was ordered not to fire, only to watch. For weeks they circled, scanning, listening. At first, nothing.
Unusual happened. Earth looked calm, almost peaceful. The colonies mined and farmed.
Ships moved in orbit. Then one night, every ship in the fleet lost power. For exactly 3 minutes, they drifted in darkness. No lights, no engines, no weapons. When power returned, every screen showed the same image. The outline of Earth, glowing, white against black. Underneath it, words burned across the display. "Do not enter." No attack followed. No weapons fired. But the message was clear. The fleet withdrew. The Council called it a technical malfunction. But the crews knew better. They had felt human eyes on them, unseen, unblinking. The Great Debate. The Council called an emergency session. The hall shook with arguments. "They have built weapons beyond our control," shouted one. "They are bluffing," shouted another. "We should crush them now." "No, leave them alone." Every voice clashed, every word dripping with fear. Finally, the speaker raised his hand. "We cannot allow panic. If humanity thinks they can frighten us, we must show strength. We will double the fleets. We will surround their system. And if they cross the border, we will strike." The chamber cheered, but the cheer was hollow. Everyone knew it was not strength. It was fear. The turning point. Then came the news that broke. What little confidence remained. A scout ship near Pluto sent a final message before vanishing. Another one. A second station. Bigger than the first. Silence followed. The Council froze. One shadow near Saturn was terrifying. But a second, hidden beyond Pluto, in the farthest cold of the solar system, was worse. It meant the first was not unique. It meant the humans were building more, much more. Stations, cities, weapons. No one knew what. The only certainty was this. Humanity was preparing for something greater than exile. Panic in the streets across the galaxy. Fear turned into chaos. On Trakkar, citizens protested, demanding leaders make peace with Earth before it was too late. On Karen worlds, soldiers deserted, unwilling to face the ghosts of Saturn. On Sathari colonies, children whispered, the human phrase exile accepted as if it were a curse. Even the Council's allies began to doubt. Some asked quietly, why did we exile them? Was it jealousy? Was it fear? Did we make humanity into an enemy by pushing them away? But it was. Too late for regret. The scholar speaks amid the noise. The old Sathari scholar once again stood before the Council. His voice was tired, heavy with warning. You cast them out to weaken them. Instead, you gave them freedom. Freedom to build without your laws. Freedom to grow without your chains. You believed silence meant surrender. But silence is not surrender, it is patience. The hall grew quiet. He leaned forward, his feathers trembling. And patience is the most dangerous weapon humans have ever known. Waiting for the storm, the Council doubled its fleets. More ships were built, more soldiers trained, but deep down everyone knew the truth. They were not preparing to strike humanity. They were preparing to survive humanity. For the first time in history, the galaxy no longer saw Earth as weak, chaotic, or arrogant. They saw it as something worse, unpredictable, untouchable, unstoppable, and still, Earth said nothing. No messages, no threats, no answers, only silence. Silence that grew heavier with each passing day. Silence that felt like the calm before a storm. They called it humanity's shadow, because wherever it drifted, fear followed. And deep inside, everyone knew the truth. The humans were no longer part of the galaxy. They were becoming something beyond it. The reply that was never spoken. The galaxy waited. Every fleet, every world, every ruler turned their eyes to Earth. They waited for a message, a demand, a declaration of war. They waited for the storm that silence promised, but no reply ever came. Humanity never spoke again. Sealed borders. The solar system closed like a fortress. Alien ships that tried to enter found only darkness. Their scanners failed, their engines froze, and their crews vanished without a sound. The Council declared the system off limits, but no one needed the order. Fear was enough. Trade ships stopped visiting. Spies stopped trying. Even the bravest. Explorers steered clear of the faint blue planet and its ringed giants. It was as if humanity had drawn a line across the stars. Here we begin. Here you end. The collapse of trade. At first the Council was glad. Let them hide, they said. We do not need them. But soon, the galaxy felt the loss. Human engineers had once designed the fastest engines. Human traders had once carried goods across long routes. Human scientists had once sold medicines, ideas, and inventions that changed entire species. Now those things were gone. Fleets slowed without human engines. Colonies struggled without human trade. Diseases returned without human cures. One by one, species realized how much of their future had been tied to Earth. And now, Earth was gone. The rise of fear as the galaxy weakened. Whispers grew stronger. They are not gone, some said. They are building. They are waiting, others answered. On distant worlds, children played a new game called the silence. One child pretended to be human, saying nothing, only watching. The others screamed and ran because even in play, the silence was too frightening. On military bases, soldiers told ghost stories about the shadows near Saturn and Pluto. They spoke of stations larger than cities, machines taller than mountains, and weapons that could erase fleets without firing a shot. None of it was proven. None of it needed to be. Fear was truth enough. The forgotten council, the council itself, began to crumble. Without unity, its members fought among themselves. Should they prepare for war against Earth? Should they beg for peace? Should they do nothing? Each world had its own answer. Fleets split apart. Alliances broke. The council had exiled humanity to protect order. Instead, they destroyed it. Humanity's transformation inside the solar system, the truth was hidden, but rare glimpses leaked out. A trader swore he saw a massive fleet orbiting Neptune, ships shaped like knives, silent and dark. A lost probe showed half a second of footage before vanishing. Towers rising from the surface of Mars, glowing with blue fire. Others whispered of a machine on the moon, pulsing like a heartbeat, sending waves of energy into space. What were they building? A fleet to conquer the galaxy? A wall to keep it out, or something even greater no one knew? And that was the most terrifying part. The final silence. Decades passed. Humanity never sent another word. Not to threaten, not to comfort, not to explain. The galaxy grew weaker without them. Wars broke out. Trade collapsed. Worlds fell into chaos. But Earth remained untouched. Safe, silent, waiting. Some believed the humans were preparing to strike. Others believed they had already left. building new empires in the darkness beyond the stars, but no proof ever came. Only silence. The lesson of silence at last. The old Sithari scholar who had warned the council so many times spoke his final words before his death. You thought exile was punishment. You believed silence meant defeat, but silence was their answer. They did not fight because they did not need to. You cast them out of your galaxy, but perhaps it is we who have been cast out of theirs. His words spread far, whispered on every world, and with time, the galaxy began to understand. The reply that was never spoken. Humanity never replied to the Council's exile. They never begged to return. They never asked for forgiveness. They simply turned inward, building in silence, preparing for something greater than the galaxy could imagine. Perhaps they were building for defense, perhaps for war, perhaps for a destiny that no alien mind could understand. No one ever knew, because sometimes the loudest reply is the one that is never spoken. And humanity's silence shook the galaxy forever.